Have you ever wondered why, with all of our incredible technology and scientific knowledge, finding new cures for diseases is still so ridiculously hard and expensive? Well, today, we're going to dive into a pretty revolutionary AI approach that's trying to fix a huge, fundamental blind spot in how we even understand disease itself. So let's just kick things off with a pretty staggering fact. Up to 90%, 90, of all potential new medicines fail. They never ever make it out of the lab to the people who need them. Now, that's not just a number. That represents years of brilliant research, billions of dollars down the drain, and frankly, a lot of dashed hopes. So what is going on here? The real root of the problem, it turns out, lies in what we can call medicine's billion-dollar blind spot. And this isn't because our scientists aren't smart enough or aren't working hard enough, not at all. It's about how we've been forced to look at the problem for decades. You see, for as long as we've been doing it, developing a new drug has been this incredibly high-stakes gamble. But there's a massive hidden problem baked into the process. It's a problem of perspective. We've been trying to solve the most complex puzzle in the known universe, the human body. But we've been doing it with huge, essential pieces of that puzzle missing. Okay, here's a great way to think about it. Imagine you're trying to read an amazing, complex story, but you're only allowed to see one word out of every 10. You'd get bits and pieces, right? But you'd totally miss the plot, the characters, the real meaning. Well, that's pretty much exactly how we've been studying disease. We've been focused on what's called single omics, looking only at our genes or only at our proteins, but almost never at how it all works together. And this way of doing things has led to what the entire industry now calls the data integration crisis. We are drowning in more biological data than ever before in human history, but it's all disconnected, siloed, making it nearly impossible to see the full story. The cost of this crisis it's enormous. Remember that single omics approach, just looking at one piece of the puzzle? Well, it leads to an 80 to 90% failure rate for studies trying to find reliable biological markers for disease. Those unique signals in our bodies that tell us what's wrong? 80 to 90% failure. And the financial hit? It's just as stunning. A single drug, one drug, failing in a late-stage clinical trial can cost a company $500 million, often because we missed a crucial piece of the biological puzzle early on. So you might be thinking, well, why don't scientists just, combine all that data manually to get the bigger picture? They try, but a shocking 95% of those attempts fail. The sheer complexity is just too much for a human-led approach to handle. So why is this so incredibly hard? Well, a few big reasons. First, the data itself is a mess, scattered across more than 500 different formats. Think of it like trying to build something when all your instructions are in 500 different languages. Then there's a huge expertise gap. Only about 5 to 10% of researchers actually have the specialized skills to do this kind of integration. On top of that, most labs and institutions just don't have the raw computing power needed. And the final nail in the coffin, a huge chunk of these studies, somewhere between 60 and 80%, simply can't be replicated, which, is kind of the cornerstone of all science. But just as this whole crisis was hitting a boiling point, something really remarkable started to happen. A perfect technological storm began to form, creating the exact conditions needed for a massive breakthrough. It was really three key forces all converging at once. First, the cost to sequence our DNA absolutely plummeted by 90%, which suddenly made huge new studies possible. Second, artificial intelligence, for the first time, became powerful enough to actually make sense of this level of biological complexity. And third, cloud computing gave us the scalable, on-demand power to process it all. And this incredible technological storm has paved the way for a brand new solution, a system designed from the ground up to unify biology using AI, to finally let us see that complete picture. The technical name for this is multi-omics integration. But what does that really mean? It's just the process of using AI to weave together all those separate layers of data, the genes, the proteins, our metabolism, all of it, into one single cohesive story. Basically, it's about finally being able to read the whole book, not just every 10th word. And the difference here is truly night and day. The old way gave us fragmented data, an incomplete picture, and just sky-high failure rates. This new way promises unified data, insights we've never had before, and a dramatically higher chance of actually succeeding. And here it is. This is probably the most critical takeaway of all. This AI-driven approach isn't just a tiny improvement. It has the potential to boost the success rate of finding those crucial disease biomarkers by 300 to 500%. That is a 3 to 5 times improvement over how we do things now. It's not an evolution, it's a revolution in discovery. And you can see how this impacts everybody. The big pharmaceutical companies see that massive jump in R&D success. Smaller biotech companies can run clinical trials that are much more likely to work. And the companies that make our diagnostic tests, they can develop tests that are far, far more accurate. So when you pull the lens back, this technology is about so much more than just data. It's about finally unlocking the true promise of what we call precision medicine, getting the right treatment to the right person at the right time. And this, right here, is why it matters to every single one of us. This could mean getting life-saving drugs to market 3 to 7 years faster than we do today. It means designing drugs that are literally tailored to your unique biology. It could even mean unlocking cures for diseases we once thought were completely untreatable, all while making the whole process of clinical trials faster and more successful. So, what we're really looking at here isn't just another cool piece of software. It's the foundational technology, the very infrastructure for a whole new era of what's called systems medicine. It's about finally understanding the human body as the complex, interconnected, incredible system it truly is. And that leaves us with a final, really powerful thought. For the first time in history, we are developing the ability to read the entire biological book of life, not just a few words scattered here and there. So the big question for all of us now is, what amazing new cures are we going to write in its next chapter?